Hi everyone, welcome. Today's topic is about direct and indirect object. So we will learn how to identify direct and indirect objects in a sentence. First of all, I'm going to share a screen with you. All right. Now, in order for us to be able to identify which one is direct object, we need to be able to do the following 3 steps. So listen carefully, okay? And pay attention here so you can do it later. Number 1, you need to identify which one is the verb. Now, what is a verb? Verb is an action word. Okay, so verb is an action word. And then once you have identified the verb, you need to ask that verb with a question word, what? For example, if the verb is give, then you ask give what? If the verb is take, then you ask take what? If the verb is borrow, then you ask borrow what? Okay? Now, finally, step number 3. When you're able to answer that question, give what? I don't know, a book, a pen, a pencil? Borrow what? A bicycle? A book, a comic? Okay, take what? Take a book, take a magazine? A magazine? That answer is the direct object. Okay? So for example, we have this sentence. Marie gave a book to Susan. Okay? Marie gave a book to Susan. Step number 1, identify the verb. So in this case, the verb is give. That is the action word. That is the verb. Okay? What have I done? Okay. So step number 1, identify the verb, and the verb is give. And then step number 2, you ask that verb give with a question word, what? Okay, you ask the verb with question word, what? Give what? Finally, if you're able to answer that question, gave what? Marie gave what? A book. A book. Marie gave a book. A book. That is the answer. So that answer is the direct object. Okay? So a book is the answer to the question gave what? Therefore, a book is the direct object. Okay, let's not worry about that. We're going to the next example. So to be able to identify this direct object and indirect object, you need to go through some examples. Now, the next example is Daniel bought a comic book for his little brother. So as usual, you learn about the 3-step process. Step 1, you need to identify the verb. The verb in this sentence, the action word, is bought. That is the verb. Okay, so bought is the verb. Step 2, you need to ask bought with that question, what? Bought what? So, bought what? Daniel bought what? A comic book. That's your answer. A comic book. Therefore, a comic book is the direct object in this case. Okay, I repeat again. A comic book, which is the answer to that question, bought what, is the direct object. Now, there are two objects here in this sentence. Okay, a comic book and his little brother. Now, what is Daniel? Daniel is the one who is doing the action. So the person who is doing the action is called subject. Okay. So Daniel is the subject, not the object. So you have object, a comic book, and you also have another object, his little brother. Now, if a comic book is the direct object, comic book is the direct object, therefore, his little brother here is the indirect object. Okay, so direct object, I'm going to write down here, direct. Okay, so this one is indirect object. All right. If you're still not sure, don't you worry. We still have some examples to go through to make sure that you are confident later in finding out direct and indirect objects. So let's go through some more examples. Juliet sent a letter to her aunt in Europe. Juliet sent a letter to her aunt in Europe. Now, you learn about the three-step process. You have to follow the three-step process. Step number one, identify the verb. Now, the verb here, the action word, is sent. Okay, so sent is the verb. Question two, you are sent with that word, what? Sent what? I'm sure you know what Juliet sent. So sent what? A letter, right? A letter. That's your answer. So therefore, a letter is the direct object. So here, a letter is the direct object. Okay. Now, as usual, there are two objects in the sentence. The other object is her aunt. Okay. If a letter is already a direct object, therefore, her aunt here is indirect object. Very simple, isn't it? Okay. Let's go through another example. Okay, pay attention. Tom prepared a birthday cake for his grandmother. Tom prepared a birthday cake for his grandmother. So step one, identify the verb. Which one is the action word? Here, this is the action word, prepared. So this is the verb. Okay. So now you know the verb. Ask that verb with what? Prepared what? And the answer is prepared a birthday cake. A birthday cake. That is the answer. So therefore, the answer is the direct object. Okay. So a birthday cake is the direct object. Now, what is the other object here? Because there are always two objects. His grandmother. His grandmother object. And this one is the indirect object. And as I said earlier, Tom is the subject. The person doing the action word is the subject. Okay? Now, I hope you are feeling very confident. Okay, I hope you are feeling confident now in finding the direct and indirect objects. But sometimes they can switch the positions of direct and indirect objects. So that's the tricky part. They can switch the position of the direct and indirect objects. However, the steps to find out which one is direct and which one is indirect are still the same. You are still going to go through those 3 steps. So you don't have to worry at all about what to do, because if you remember the 3 steps, they will be useful. Now let's go through an example. The first example I gave you was this sentence: Marie gave a book to Susan. But here I make some changes. Okay, pay attention. It says Marie gave Susan a book. Okay. As I said earlier, if you remember the 3 steps, you will be able to find out the direct and indirect objects. So step number 1, which one is a verb? Which one is the action word? Give. That's the action word. So that is the verb. And ask gave with that word. Gave what? Gave what? Marie gave what? Marie gave a book, of course. Marie can't give Susan. You can't give Susan away. Okay, so Marie gave a book. A book. Marie gave a book. Therefore, a book is a direct object. Direct object. So here we have a book. That's the direct object. Okay. Suddenly clear the screen. A book is a direct object. Okay. Now, earlier we said give is a verb. Now, Susan, what is Susan again? Susan is the subject. Susan is the subject because Susan is doing the action. So the only one left now is Susan. Sorry, Marie, I mean. Marie is the person who is doing the action. Therefore, Marie is the subject. Marie is the subject. So the only one left now is Susan. Okay. So if a book is a direct object, Susan is indirect. As simple as that. Okay, as simple as that. All right, I hope you're very clear about how to find direct and indirect objects. Okay, of course, you will get the chance to do some more examples later from your workbook. So thanks for listening. Bye.